good? Can you hear me good?
Hello, everyone. My name is John Arntz, and welcome again to the Business Freedom Formula. Today, our guest is Sandy Forster. For those of you in America, I'm sure you will recognize the accent. She's from down under, and I'm sure that we won't have any problems understanding what she's saying. After all, we all speak English.
I speak
Or
fast, though, which
American
is
and
the problem.
Australian, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, Sandy is involved in money mindset. And I have a question for you, Sandy, just to start off. Are you working on anything really exciting right now, as far as your business goes?
Yeah, I'm always working on something exciting. I spend more time creating products, programs, visualizations, processes that allow people to break through their money blocks. That's my absolute passion. I was only thinking the other day how lucky I am that my business is my absolute passion, and I'm never going to retire because I love what I do. I love changing people's lives and really making a difference. So yeah, I think it's just really creating all the things that I continue to create. I'm right in the middle of creating a whole series of, they're called While You Sleep meditations. So they're guided visualizations and meditations that people can listen to manifest a car, a success, more money, like all the things you want, sell a house, all the stuff that people want. And you just listen to them as you go off to sleep at night. So that's what I'm currently diving right into.
Okay. Now, is there some, I remember growing up hearing about people, the idea was that you could learn stuff in your sleep. And one of the things people began to realize is that you could ask somebody a question about what they heard, but they couldn't answer the question. But if you said, well, don't you remember you heard, and you start reciting what they said, they could recite the whole thing, but they couldn't answer the question, which the answer was in the recitation. So in other words, there was no recall of what it was. I'm sure there's probably been a whole lot more research done into this area. And so how does this kind of thing work toward being able to manifest something that you're looking for?
I think sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes when you've got a big dream or a big goal, something you want to bring into your life, and you start to think about it and take action toward it, your logical mind can get in the way and say, this isn't possible, you're not smart enough, you're not young enough, you're not this enough, you're not that enough. And so the logical mind can kind of put blocks in front of what it is that we're wanting to create in our life. Whereas when you're going off to sleep, the logical mind tends to turn off, and anything that you start to listen to starts to bypass the logical conscious mind and go straight into the subconscious mind. And so when it's in the subconscious mind, your subconscious mind isn't going to doubt it and say, this isn't possible. Subconscious mind is just open and ready and accepts it all. And that's one way you can start to rewire your brain, rewire your mind, so that you can create and attract what it is that you want without the logical mind getting in the way.
Okay. Very good. So tell us a little bit about your business, how you got into this, and what's going on.
Okay, so for me, what I love to do, I am all about helping women all around the world and helping entrepreneurs to think differently about money, basically rewire their mind when it comes to money and success and abundance. And the way I kind of fell into it myself was I was $100,000 in debt and on welfare, and really had no idea how my life was going to change. I had no specific skills. I had dropped out of high school, so I didn't even finish high school. I had no money behind me. My parents didn't have any. I didn't know anyone with money. And so I really was at that place where, being $100,000 in debt and on welfare, I just thought that was going to be my life forever. And I discovered the law of attraction, and I discovered mindset work, and I discovered neuroscience, and I just fell in love with it because it seemed so much more fun than all the practical steps that you needed to take to create success, to have money in your life. And so I really started diving into it in a big way and really embraced it and created different processes and exercises and visualizations and meditations and affirmations and just so many things to keep me focused on what I wanted. And it worked. I went from welfare to millionaire. And so I just love showing other people how it's absolutely possible, because I figure if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Mhm.
So that's my big exciting business that I currently run. I've been doing it since 2002, so a long time, way before The Secret and everything to do with mindset became sort of more well known.
Sure. Yeah, because yeah, I didn't think I even heard of the book The Secret, until, I don't know, after 2005 sometime.
Yeah, I think it
Can't
was
even remember
2006 or
when.
7, something around there.
Something
Yeah.
around there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I still have not read it, so
Mhm.
I don't I don't really know what it's about. The So how do you work with I'm going to call them clients? That may be the wrong term, but do you work one-on-one? Do you work in groups? Do you use um recorded trainings? How do you get your information out to your people, as it were?
So I used to do it live, but mainly now what I have done, because I've been doing it for so long and I've really kind of dialed in exactly what people need to transform. So I've created a series of online courses and programs. And basically what happens is people join that. They can go through in their own pace, but every month, usually once or twice a month, we get together and I answer any questions about anything to do with manifesting, mindset, law of attraction, neuroscience, success, all the things that I've done. So yeah, it's basically all online. And then a couple of times a month we connect live. And that's just one program. So I also have another program called the Inspired Spirit Coaching Academy. And that's where I actually train people all around the world to become internationally certified coaches, because I found that because I'd created so much success in my business, people said, you know, I look at your life, you've got an amazing life. I want to do what you're doing. I want to be able to work from home. I want to be able to make as much money as I want. Want to be able to work in the personal development field and choose my own hours. So I basically took everything I knew about coaching and about law of attraction and mindset and created a curriculum. And yeah, we train and certify people around the world now. It's just hit 1,500 people all around the world. So in 32
1,500 people.
countries. Yeah.
Wow, that's a
Yeah.
lot. So, and you've been doing this only since what, for about the last 15 years or
Yeah.
so?
So the actual coaching, the Inspired Spirit Coaching Academy, I launched that in 2008. So yeah, that's I'm
17
not good
years.
with math. Something
17
like
years.
that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm good at math, so I can do those. I can do that subtraction real easy. So
I've got numbers dyslexia, so I you give me a date, you give me a time, and I will end up turning up on the wrong day, the wrong time, the wrong everything. My mind just doesn't read it.
yeah, it's funny because I get people who sign up for a time slot and they
Mm.
forget to check if it's AM or PM.
Oh.
And they'll sign up for a PM, and then my phone will go off and say an AM going, they're waiting for you. And I was like, I'm not even there because it's not supposed to
Oh.
be for another 12 hours.
That's probably the thing I would do to someone.
Yeah. And I can understand it. I mean, sometimes you get caught up, and I did some traveling for business for about 7-8 years, and I was all over the United States. So I was in one time zone or another all the
Different time
time. And I
zones.
just learned
Yeah.
how to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
I know where I am and where everybody else is time wise. I did have to look up what the time difference was between you and me, because I wanted to know if I was keeping you up in the middle of the night, in which case it wouldn't be, would keep this to
Wouldn't
a
work.
minimum. But since it's in the middle of the day, yeah,
Easy
we'll
peasy.
talk for a while. So,
Yeah.
but this sounds fascinating. So when you were talking about the neuroscience and stuff, did you take a look at anything that, oh gosh, it's a big name guy, and where did you learn your neuroscience stuff
Oh
from?
gosh, where didn't I?
Uh,
I am obsessed with learning, and any podcast, any book, any audio program, any video on YouTube. Like, I love to learn. So yeah, I've learned it all over. Are you thinking of maybe Joe Dispenza?
no, although that may have been a name. There's another person. I can't recall his name. But there's an individual that I've seen a couple of his videos, and he talks about like the Frankenstein brain, and trying to corral that. And he's got a lot of stuff that deals with breathing techniques, and also a little bit of um yeah, other positive coaching. Apparently he's been very, very successful
Mm.
in doing what he does. I wish I could remember the man's name.
But no, I haven't heard of the Frankenstein brain, but I think the bottom line is, when it comes to the brain, we are just wired to keep ourselves safe. We're not wired for success. We're not wired to have an amazing time. We're wired to be safe. And so when something new comes into our reality, for instance, when I was $100,000 in debt and on welfare, and I thought about being a millionaire, even though my logical mind was like, yes, that is what I want, my subconscious mind and who I was at a cellular level was like, that is like, no, that is too unfamiliar. That could be dangerous. That, like, don't do it. And so, I would take one step forward toward the success I wanted, and then two steps back. And I kept wondering why it didn't work. And so I really had to work on my mind and continually focus on what I did want, and think about how it would be like to be a millionaire, and not drive a car that leaks so much when it rained that it grew a plant in the back, and like be able to live in a home that I actually owned, and be able to travel and be able to do things like just buy fresh flowers every week. Like, I had to focus on all those things that I really wanted all the time, so that my nervous system and my brain got used to that, and it no longer felt like it was a threat because it was something different, because it was suddenly something familiar, because I'd focused about it, thought about it, dreamt about it, imagined it so much that my whole body, mind, and spirit was able to kind of embrace it, and therefore I was able to actually create it.
Okay, do you find that there's a barrier that people have as far as like how they view money, mostly maybe not necessarily culturally, as we consider like cultures between countries and that, but the culture within their own family?
Oh yeah, totally. Like, for instance, my parents, I think, that era was like the post-war or in the middle of the war era, very frugal, very like, you're always worried about money, whether you'd have enough money. And so that kind of seeped down into my thinking. And I was always thinking that there wouldn't be enough. And because I always thought there wouldn't be enough, that's what I would continue to create. I continued to create situations in my life that only ever allowed there to be only just enough, never enough to really, live the life that I wanted. And so, yeah, definitely within a family, it can seep into you. But then you can also find that someone can completely rebel, because there was a point in my life where I just got so sick of being super frugal all the time and never having enough money anyway, that it was like, I'm just going to buy whatever I want. And I went the other way, and that's not good either. So
That's not good either, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it definitely does affect you. But then, it's not just your family. Like, think about it. It's society, it's religion. It's like, I remember watching shows on TV. Now, I remember watching this show, what was it, Beverly Hills 90210.
Okay.
This is going back in time.
All right.
And the rich families always had horrible mums that didn't have time for their kids. Their dad was never around. They were always bratty. And yet the family that had no money was so nice and loving, and everyone loved to go to their house, because, it was just like, we're taught that people who are rich are bad, and they're not nice, and they don't care about others, and so we just get these messages from everywhere about money. And you really, if you're wanting to create more of it in your life, then you need to be the one in control of how you think about money. And you need to, stop listening to other people that talk about, rich people are bad, or they don't even have to say rich people are bad. I remember whenever anyone had any money in the neighborhood that we lived in, I remember the man over the road, I think he got a new car, and what else did he do? This is when I was really young. He got a new car. I think he did some renovations on his house. And my mum and dad would look at each other and say, wonder what he's up to. Must be dealing drugs.
You're right. Right.
And he was just an entrepreneur who just had more money than a normal paycheck. And so it's like we get these messages all the time, and it really is up to us to decide how we're going to think about money, because how you think about money is going to affect how much you actually have in your life.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that about the renovations and that, because I was working a job many years ago on a construction site, and one of the carpenters, he had left, and he came back in his car, not his truck, not his work truck, but his car, and he rolls up in this BMW, and all the guys are like, "What? What is he doing that we're not?" Right? And it's like, wow, it's so, yeah. And I know what you mean about your parents and that, because my mother was born just before the Depression and grew up during the Depression and the war years. And yes, very frugal, kept everything. And I learned that.
Yeah, you do. You just take it on, you're just like a sponge when you're a kid. You take everything in,
Sure.
good, bad, and in between. And so as adults, it's up to us to decide what to filter out, what no longer serves us. Stop those thoughts, those beliefs, those actions, those decisions. What doesn't serve us, get rid of it, and just, be really mindful of where you put your focus and your energy and your time and your actions.
And I think sometimes we look at money as not the tool that it can be.
And that's all it is. It's a tool. It's not like money doesn't make people evil. Evil people do evil things with money. Money doesn't make someone a good person. Good people do good things with money. So it's who you are and what you do with it. It is very much just a tool.
I mean, from what I understand, the actor Keanu Reeves does not live a fabulous Hollywood lifestyle because he gives away so much of his money.
He does.
At least that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
So just the fact that he makes a lot of money he's one of the nicest people in Hollywood. I mean,
yeah. And the thing is,
everybody
there are
who's
so
met him
many.
says he's a great guy. So it has nothing to do with the amount of money he makes. It has to do with the person here.
Exactly, with the person, exactly. Because I'm sure there are millions of people that have so much money and they're doing great things, but they're not in the paper, they're not on TV, they're not, splashed across the internet. They're just normal, everyday people doing wonderful things, but you don't hear about that. You only hear about the bad stuff.
Right. So it's reframing in our own personal lives what our relationship with money is. That's really what you do, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. That's what I do.
Now, I'm sure that you have worked with women in other countries.
Yeah.
Correct. Are there cultural differences that that you, when you started out in this and dealt with them, posed challenges for you and do you have maybe a story related to that you could share?
Great question. So obviously, within the Inspired Spirit Coaching Academy, we've trained people in 32 countries, but I actually have clients from over, I think, about 108 countries all around the world. So people think differently everywhere. They, what we consider, like, for instance, the very fact that you and I are here talking now through the internet, like, we have businesses, is very different to someone in maybe a third world country that doesn't have the same access, doesn't have, and when we talk about, how much money we're making, I even think about my virtual assistant. Now, she lives in the Philippines, and, you know, the amount of money that I make to her probably seems like a squillion dollars. But then when you look at what it actually costs, you know, us to live in countries like ours, it costs a lot more than countries that are not as developed. So I think really it's understanding that it really is all relative. You know, you make a lot of money in a country that it costs a lot of money to live. You don't make so much money in a country that doesn't cost so much to live. But, you know, it really just is a matter of, I think we're all destined for more, no matter what country you're in, no matter what your background, no matter what your education, we are all destined for more. The whole point of us being alive is to grow and evolve and become better people, and then, you know, give other people a hand up. I really think that's what it is. And so no matter where you are in your life and what you're experiencing, I don't ever want anyone to think, oh, I'm not meant for this, or I shouldn't do this, or I'm going to give up, because I always feel like the universe is on your side. The universe wants more for you than you could ever want for yourself.
Right.
And when you really get that, when you really understand, you start to, instead of thinking of you as just you trying to do all this stuff, trying to make things happen, you start to understand that you're actually a co-creator of your life. So you're not the one trying to make it all happen. You just need to align your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. And then out there in the quantum field, all the things that you desire that are waiting for you can start to come into your life, can start to materialize. So, and I don't say they suddenly appear before your eyes, but suddenly you make a connection with someone that completely changes everything for you, or you have an opportunity that completely opens up your business, or like there's just all these little things that can happen. Doors can open, opportunities can appear. And it really is just a matter of you really getting your own, as I said, your body, mind, spirit, your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions in the right place to allow these synchronicities to occur. And sometimes it honestly just feels a bit like magic. But, you know, that's how the universe works.
Well, I think I'm going to do an analogy here. You tell me if I'm far off the beaten path. Something that I think every one of us, at least anybody in a developed country, for sure can understand. You or your friend buys a new car. And for the next month, you see that car everywhere. Not their car, but a similar car, especially if it's the same color, right? Because we're now aware. I would postulate here that if I'm thinking about money and opportunity, I see it when it's there. But if I'm thinking about a whole bunch of other, let's just say crap that's in my brain, I walk right by it, I don't see it.
It's so true. And this isn't just woo-woo, you know, out there stuff. It's the reticular activating system. So at the back of your skull, down at the base of your skull, there's like a gateway that opens up between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And the reticular activating system allows into your conscious mind what is important to you. So for instance, right now, if someone said to me, well, what can you see? I could say, well, I can see a light, I can see a computer, a microphone, a phone, I can see a swimming pool, a plant, I can see a barley heart, I can see a table. But if I was to actually tell you everything I could see, I could like literally spend hours just telling you not just the things, but the colors and the shapes and the textures and the shadow and the light and the dark and the blah, blah, blah. Like I could go on forever. So our brain cannot take all that in and process all of that and make all that conscious. So our brain only takes in and allows our conscious mind to see and experience what's important. So exactly what you said, when you think about and focus on abundance and prosperity and success and, you know, all the things that you want, what happens is when you're continually thinking about that and focusing on it, you are training your subconscious mind to pick that out of everything that you experience in the world and actually allow your conscious mind to be aware of it. But exactly as you said, if you are what I used to be, talking about how much debt I had and how I didn't have enough money to do everything I wanted and how my life wouldn't change and how bad things were, then my subconscious is going, oh, these are the things that are important to Sandy. So when she goes out into the world, let's make sure she sees not having enough money, never, being able to do the things that she wants. Like, you literally can train your brain as to what you experience in the world, because you cannot see every single solitary thing, whether it's a physical thing or an experience or an opportunity. You just can't be aware of everything. So you get to train your brain what is important by thinking about it, focusing on it, dreaming about it, writing it out, doing all these things. And then, as I said, your reticular activating system will allow those things to go, your subconscious mind to see it, bring it up to your conscious mind and say, Sandy, look at this. Whereas before, as you say, you could walk right past it. It could be a magazine that has something amazing in it that's going to change your life. It could be a course that you see online that is going to completely transform your skill set. It could be anything. But if you haven't trained your brain what is important, then you will just not see it. Right. It's like your brain saying, I can't take in everything, so I'm not going to take that in. So you get to choose.
Right. That's terrific. That is, I think, so important for all of us. And you're right, it's about training your brain. I have a lot of education. I have a master's degree, and going through that and training my brain, I know with most of the people I talk to, I think differently than they do, because I have some understanding at an education level of how some things work. So it's not that I'm that smart. I'm educated. And what you're talking about is being educated, not smart. I've met some people that really are not educated in terms of formal schooling that are hugely successful. Yeah, I would say like yourself, because you said you didn't graduate high school. So like yourself. So it's not always about education. It's not always about who you know. But it is, I think, a lot more about what you know. And that has to be educating yourself to understand.
Yeah, I think, I can't remember who said it. It was one of the greats, one of the people in the personal development industry way back when. They said something along the lines of, formal education will make you a living, self-education will make you a fortune.
Okay. So, that almost sounds
school,
like
university,
that like Covey would say.
Yeah, I think it was Zig Ziglar
he said
Covey
something, I
or
think
someone
his
like
book
that.
was Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, yeah.
Which sounds like, what do I think about being rich? No, you missed the point.
Yeah.
And he goes way back to the 30s or something when he wrote that. And it's still one of the greatest business books to read, even almost 100 years later. Because the message is so important. But wow. So where can people find you if they want to learn more?
Where can you find me? Okay, so probably the easiest place is at wildlywealthy.com, which is my website. Or if they love listening to podcasts, I've got the Wildly Wealthy Women podcast, where I talk all things money, manifesting, and mindset. But yeah, they're the main places. Okay.
Well, great. Well, Sandy, thank you so much for your time tonight. This has been a very interesting conversation. And I wish you the best of luck. And I'm going to do some digging around, look at your site, see if I can't educate myself a little bit too.
Beautiful. Thanks so much for having me, John.
Thanks a lot, Sandy.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.